Good evening and welcome to the Hatha Yoga Center, Beginner's Yoga, on this lovely Seattle summer evening. I'm Chris and coming at you live here from the University District in Seattle. So this is a beginner's class, so just kind of take it easy and just starting in a seated position. So just grounding yourself, finding a place where you can sit and find your long spine, feeling how the weight is distributed in your seat. So you might notice that you sit more to one side or the other, so just kind of evening it out. And then just for a moment, close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath. So taking a few balanced breaths in and out through your nose, filling your lungs, inhaling and exhaling. And you might allow your belly to relax as you inhale. So inhale and feel your belly expand. Exhale, drawing the belly in, contracting within. Just take 2 or 3 more breaths like that. Just bringing yourself present. Relaxing your face. And feeling length in your spine. And then if your eyes are closed, you might open your eyes and just make some circles. So you could be sitting on the floor, you could be sitting in a chair. If you're on the floor, you could be sitting up on a cushion, maybe on a block. So circling around, and you can kind of let your spine undulate a bit as you move, moving with the breath and maybe circling in the opposite direction. Letting your head kind of be along for the ride. Moving with the breath. And then just coming back to center, you could do a little bit of seated cat-cow. So round your spine, draw your belly in, let your chin kind of come towards the chest, and then arch forward, inhale. So exhale, rounding back. Inhale, letting the chest come forward. And your head's kind of moving along with the rest of your spine. Just one more time through. Inhaling as you come forward, exhaling as you round back. And then sweep your arms up, reaching up and bringing your hands back down through the midline. Let's do that 2 more times. Just stretching and reaching up. Bringing your hands back together. Exhaling, and one more time. Reaching and gathering up some air, bringing it back down. And then let's take some twists. So bringing your left hand to your right knee. You could let your arms come up and over, twisting to the other side. So keep the shoulders sliding down the rib cage, relaxing away from the ears. A couple times like that, letting the arms come up and back down from side to side. And then coming back to center, and then we'll take a little side stretch in this seated position. So bringing your left hand down and your right arm up, keeping the head in the neck in line with the rest of your spine. So trying not to drop the head, but looking up and then sweeping your arm forward, bringing the right hand down and the left arm up. Breathing as you're reaching through. And then you could go side to side a couple times. And back to center. And take a breath. And then let's come to hands and knees. So bringing yourself to your hands. Let's see if I can put this. Hang on one sec. I'm just gonna bring the camera up. a little bit. Sorry about my hand there. All right. So bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, spreading your hands, knees underneath your pelvis, finding your tabletop position. Kind of press into the floor, lifting up through the back of the head, finding your neutral spine. And then exhale, rounding, drawing your belly up and in, letting your head drop, initiating the movement with the pelvis, tipping your pelvis, letting the movement ripple up your spine. Inhale. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, arch. And just a couple more times through like that, feeling your belly moving and your spine moving with the breath. And then just coming back to your tabletop position, walk your knees back, spread your hands and reach, wrapping your elbows in. Finding the breath here, broadening in the middle of your back and lengthening your spine. So tractioning, finding some bit of decompression in your lower back here. And then walk your hands over towards the left, drawing your right hip back. Breathing. And then walking hands back through center and over to the right. Drawing your left hip back. And breathing there. And then back to hands and knees again. And find your tabletop position. So lift the belly up, lift the back of the head. Reach back through your right foot. And tuck your toes. Stretching into the bottom of the foot and the back of the calf. You could kind of rock a little bit. Letting the breath be full, in and out through the nose. And then reaching your leg up and pressing back through the heel, keeping your sacrum level. Reaching forward with your left arm. Keeping the neck long, breathing in and out through the nose. You could lift the top of your left foot off the floor just a little bit. And release that, and then circle your hips in one direction and the other. And come back to center, reaching back through the left foot. Pressing the ball of the foot into the floor. You might rock a little bit. Breathing. Keep lifting the belly. Feeling into the back of your left leg, ankle joint. Let the foot float up, toes are pointing straight down, reaching forward with your right arm. Shoulder blade is sliding down the rib cage. You could try lifting the top of your right foot off the floor. And release that, and circle the hips. Once again, in one direction and the other. And then just come back to your prayer pose for a moment. Letting your forehead come down to the floor, hips are lifted. And just take a couple breaths. And then let's come back to hands and knees and let your left foot come out to the side. Just kind of pressing your foot into the floor, your toes are pointing forward, and then come up into a twist. So reach your left arm up, you're stacking your shoulders. So you're kind of pressing down into the floor and lifting up, opening your upper back, and breathing. Again, keeping your neck long. You can look up or straight ahead or look down, but just keep the neck long. Nice, steady breath. And then bring that arm in, set it down, step your foot in, and then we'll do the other side. So reaching out through your right foot, and then we'll take a twist by lifting the right arm, stacking your shoulders, opening the chest, and breathing. And then bringing that hand back down, stepping the knee in. Couple cat-cows. rounding the spine. Exhale, inhale, tipping your pelvis. And then coming back to hands and knees again. And then let's try, you can do this with just your leg, or you can add the arms. So you're gonna reach back through the right foot, and then you're gonna round your spine and draw the knee towards your nose. So draw the belly up and in. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, draw the knee towards the nose. And you can add your left arm and draw the elbow towards the knee. So we're gonna do this 5 times on each side. Exhale, inhale, reach, and last one, round, and let it go. And just circle the hips a little bit in one direction and the other. Breathing, and then come back to your tabletop position. And then we will do the other side. So we'll reach back through the left leg. And then we'll draw the knee in, round the back, exhale, and reach back. Inhale, exhale. You could add your arm, draw your elbow towards your knee, makes it a little bit harder. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, draw the elbow towards the knee. Inhale and reach. And last one, rounding. And let it go, just circling the hips. Off the ribs. And then just tuck your toes and stretch into the bottoms of your feet a little bit and into the backs of your ankles like this. So just bringing some of your weight back. And still breathing. You could also stretch your wrist, turning your fingertips towards you and keeping the elbows slightly bent so the shoulders can stay sliding down the back. Nice steady breath in and out through the nose. Just noticing how just these first 10 or 15 minutes of conscious breathing might have already caused you to feel a little bit different, a little calmer maybe, a little bit more embodied. And then come all the way up onto your knees and bring your hands back to your sacrum. And just lengthen up, coming into camel. Just, it's your first back bend, really. Maybe not of the whole day, but of this practice. It's your first back bend, so we're not trying to come back really far. We're more like trying to lengthen up, so we're grounding through the sacrum, and we're lifting through the pubic bone and through the sternum. Breathing. And release it. And then let's step the right foot forward. So see if you can come from standing on your knees like this, bring your weight over to the left, and step your right foot forward. Your hips stay square, and you might just actually try that a few times. So step the right foot back, and then the left foot forward. See if you can do that kind of smoothly a couple times. So you might notice doing this that you have to bring the weight over into the knee, so like to the left knee, and then step that foot forward. So let's stay with the right foot forward and keep that engagement over the knee, over the left knee. Keep the hips square, let your arms come up, lifting your gaze, finding your breath, grounding through your sacrum and lengthening up the front of your body. Breathing, letting the shoulders slide. And then sweeping the arms back and clasping your hands. Gently stretching into the front of your chest. And release the hands. And then just step that foot back. And we'll step the other foot forward. So bringing the weight over your right knee, engaging a bit here in the center of your body. Strong, letting the arms come up, lifting your gaze, finding your breath. Shoulder blades are sliding down the back of your rib cage, even as you're reaching through the fingertips. Nice steady breath. And then step that foot in, and just come into prayer again, walking your hands forward. Taking a couple breaths. lengthening your spine. And then we'll wiggle forward and come onto our belly, coming into Sphinx pose. So bringing your forearms to the floor, you might bring your elbows just a little bit in front of your shoulders. And then lift the belly as you're drawing your shoulder blades down your rib cage in the back and opening in the front of the chest. You can move your head a little from side to side. Feel how when your belly lifts, your tailbone kind of reaches towards your heels, lengthening the lower back, taking some of the compression out of your lower back. And then release that and sweep your arms back, clasping your hands at your sacrum and lifting up. Lift your toes. Come into this locust pose. And you might do a little bit of back and forth. And you might even roll over, say, onto your left side, letting your right shoulder blade slide down, keeping the head lifted, neck is long. And then rolling back onto your belly and over onto your right side, coming onto your right shoulder, breathing. And then rolling back onto your belly, lifting your toes. And release. And bring your hands right underneath your shoulders, tuck your elbows in, bend your knees. And let's come up to downward facing dog. So set yourself up, your hands are shoulder width, you're wrapping your elbows in. You're tucking your toes and drawing your hips back and up. And then in your down dog, you could bend into one knee and the other, feeling into the backs of your calves. You can always come down to prayer anytime you need to, so just bending into one knee and the other. Breathing. I'm just putting on a little music. And then let's come from the downward facing dog and just walk your hands back. Bend your knees, walk your hands back and come into a forward bend. Bending your knees. So finding your forward bend, long spine. So you're hinging forward at the hip. Your feet are hip width. Just taking a couple breaths here. And then we'll swing the arms up, coming all the way up, reach up. Lengthening up. So again, this same sense of grounding through your sacrum so that you can lift up, keeping that neutral lower back curve so there's not extra arch in the low back. And then exhale, come forward again, hinging forward at the hip, long spine. So finding your long neutral spine, including your neck. And then try walking yourself back out to downward facing dog. You might have to bend your knees a lot. And just pausing there. And let's step the right foot up and over the left foot, lifting your right hip. So bringing the sole of your right foot to the floor, lifting the hip, wrapping your elbows in, feeling your rib cage and lower back, the side of your body lengthening. Stepping back through center, the left foot comes over the right. Lifting your left hip away from your rib cage, away from the shoulder, and back through center. And then from here, let's step the right foot forward, coming into a lunge. So the back knee is going to bend so that the pelvis can stay in this upright neutral position. So again, we're grounding through the sacrum, lengthening the arms up. So feeling how you are settling down towards the earth, and you're also getting this kind of rebound of energy. The earth is also kind of rising up to meet you. Breathing. And then exhale, bring your hands back down and step back to your downward dog again. And just moving a little bit. You could move your hips a little, side to side. Maybe you could lift your right arm up and back and come into a three-limbed dog. So press into your left hand, wrap your elbow in, your shoulder blade can slide. And then bringing the right hand down, bring the left hand up to the sacrum. And release it. And then let's step the left foot forward, and we'll come into this warrior one pose with the back heel lifted. Again, grounding your pelvis so your pelvis stays in this neutral position, perpendicular to the floor. Breathing as you're reaching through. Nice steady breath. And then we're going to step forward into the forward bend again. Now we're at the front of the mat. Long spine. You can bend your knees. Let your head relax a little. Maybe nod your head and shake it a little. And then coming all the way up, reaching up. Lengthening up. And breathing. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. And then let's, again, come to the front of our mat. Find your feet on the floor. And again, notice how you're standing over the soles of your feet. So kind of evenly distribute the weight of your body. Find kind of your center point. And then raise the arms up. Lengthen up. Exhale, come forward, long spine. And then you might inhale, come halfway up, pause, lift the belly, keeping this long spine, find your breath. And then maybe you can come a little further forward, hinging forward, keeping your long spine, neutral spine. So lifting the tail, keeping the head and shoulders lifted. And then let's step back to downward dog. So take a big step with your left foot and a big step with your right foot. And pause there. And then let's step the left foot forward. And we'll come into a pyramid distance with our feet. So your feet are hip width. So you're not narrow like this, they're hip width. Your hips are going to be square, and the back toes on your back foot are angled slightly out towards the edge of the mat. And then you're going to come forward and you're going to hinge forward at the hip. So draw your left hip back, right hip forward as you come forward with this long spine. So this might be enough. You might keep your hands on your thigh, or you can slowly perhaps walk them further down. If you're reaching the floor, it's only with this long neutral spine. So try pressing the mound under the big toe of your left foot into the floor and bending your knee, and then slowly straightening as you draw your left hip back. Just taking a couple breaths here. It's a big stretch for the back of your left leg. It's also takes some work to keep your core and lengthen your spine. So fingertips might be light on your leg or on the floor. And then maybe you can twist that. So the right hand could be on the leg, on a block, or just on the floor, depending on your body. So you're drawing the left hip back as you open the chest. And watch for the head and shoulders to come forward, so keep it back. So you're opening the chest. And so the tendency is for this left hip to draw forward. See if you can keep drawing it back. Almost like the thighs are drawn towards each other. Lengthen your toes. Find your steady breath. Keep the neck long. And then bring that hand down. And just pause for a moment here. Staying in your pyramid pose. and then we'll step back to downward facing dog. So just moving a little bit, finding your breath. And then we'll step the right foot forward. Again, this is for pyramid, so not as far as you would go for a lunge. Your feet are hip width, your hips are square towards the front of your mat. And you're coming forward from there. You might bring your hands to your hips, so you're keeping track of them as you hinge forward. The belly's drawing up, head and shoulders stay lifted, tailbone's lifting. So you might come to a place where you feel like you can't go any further without rounding to get further, and pause there. So sometimes it helps to have just a little bend in the front knee. Maybe you can come further, but only by keeping your spine long. And of course, if your feet are too close to each other, it's harder. So step your foot to kind of maybe like just the right spot where you can find your long spine. If your feet are too wide or too far apart, it's also difficult. Just taking another breath, again, kind of pressing into the mound and under the big toe on the right side as you bend your knee, and then drawing the hip back as you straighten the knee, drawing your belly in. One more breath here, and then we'll twist it. So bring your left hand down, maybe to the floor or even onto the leg, and open up into the twist, drawing your right hip back, in the neck long. Again, your thighs are kind of adducting, kind of drawing in towards each other. Belly's lifting and you're breathing as you open the chest. One more breath, and then bringing that hand down. Just pause for a moment. And then step back to downward dog. And then let's bring our knees wide, like the width of the mat, and just come into child's pose with your knees wide. So bringing your forehead down. The belly comes in between the thighs. And take a couple of breaths there in this child's pose. And then let's come back up again. Let's come to downward facing dog. And let's lift your right leg up, let it float up. You might have to bend your left knee to do that, but just practice lengthening up with the heel flexed. So notice how the left hip kind of wants to draw forward. You could lengthen it back, keep your hips pretty level, and then draw your right knee forward and commit to pigeon. So set yourself up in your pigeon. The knee is angled out towards the edge of the mat. The hips are pretty square. And then you're just coming forward. And you might come to your forearms. Or you might come a little further. Find a place where you can take some breaths and feel comfortable. Maybe spreading your hands. Nice steady breath. Just kind of paying attention to your neck. Sometimes it's easy to let the head drop and not pay attention, so just noticing what your habits are. Nice deep breath, feeling that stretch in the outer hip on the right side. You might feel it in other places as well. And then let's twist it. So bring your left forearm to the mat, reaching for your right knee with your left hand, and then you can bring your right hand back to your sacrum and just open up your chest. So you're stacking your shoulder over your elbow, and the hips don't move. You're not lifting the hips. They're staying pretty much right where they are as you open your chest. The head staying back, kind of pressing into the floor and lengthening up. One more breath there, and then release that. And let's lean over to the right and swing the left leg forward. Bend your left knee and straighten your right leg. And sit upright. So taking a couple breaths here, just feeling the sit bones and the spine lengthening up. Finding your breath. And then you might reach your right hand underneath your left thigh and your left hand back as you turn and open the chest. Breathing. Your head is balanced right on top of your shoulders, so no strain in your neck. You could look back with your eye gaze to complete your twist. And then turning to face forward again, just pause for a moment. And let your left knee drop out to the side. So the sole of your left foot is into your right thigh. I'm just going to turn to face the camera, but you don't need to turn. And then come forward. Perhaps you're using a strap. You could put a strap around your foot, or you can just walk your hands forward, keeping your spine long, so no rounding to get forward. There's nowhere we're trying to go in particular. We're working with our breath and our spine. So letting your left knee just drop out towards the floor and feeling the big stretch in the back of your right leg. And if you're flexing your foot, you're going to feel it more in the back of the leg. If you can reach your foot, sometimes it's good to kind of intensify the stretch like that. And then walking back up. And draw that knee up again. And sit up. And then try releasing your hands. And try lifting your left foot up, the heel up, and drawing it in towards the thigh. And then extend that leg and draw it back in. Draw your belly in, extend, and draw it in. Draw it in really hard, like you're really trying to draw the heel in towards the thigh. One more time, extend, and then bring it back in and let your foot come down. So feel that difference between this more passive position and this more active position when you lift your heel. It's quite different. And then we will let ourselves come back to downward dog the way we got there. So we came through pigeon, tuck your toes, lift up. Then take a couple breaths. And then we'll let the left leg float up. And we'll draw it forward for pigeon. I'm going to turn around here. So finding the right place for your hips. Just stay pretty centered. Walking forward, maybe to your forearms. And coming into the stretch of the outer hip, maybe the IT band or inner thigh, you feel it, but probably in the rotators. Nice steady breath. Staying with your long spine here, so watching for the head to drop forward, just keeping that neck long and neutral. Couple more breaths there, just staying with it. Noticing the habits of the mind when we get into some of these poses to start checking out. See if you can just bring yourself back to the breath. And then bringing your right forearm to the floor, reaching for your left knee with your right hand, and then coming into the twist. So bring your left hand back to your sacrum, letting your head come back, opening the chest, keeping the hips right where they are. So you're just opening your chest, stacking your right shoulder over your elbow, breathing, nice steady breath. And releasing the twist and leaning to your left, bringing your right leg forward, bending your right knee and extending your left leg. And sitting up tall. So finding your long spine, you're lengthening up through the crown of the head. And then wrap your left elbow around the right knee. Your right hand comes back, opening the chest. And breathing. You could let your eye gaze turn towards the back behind you. And then unwinding that. And we'll let the right knee drop out to the side. So let your right knee come towards the floor. Just let gravity assist. And then we'll come forward. So the right foot is into the left thigh. We'll come forward. And again, you can use a strap around the foot if you want. But keeping the spine long as you hinge forward at the hip. And your right knee opens out to the side. And then coming back up and drawing that knee in. Sitting up. And then we're going to try letting go of our knee and lifting the foot up and drawing the heel in towards the thigh. So it's a more active version of that position. And then straighten that leg forward and draw it back in towards the thigh, straightening it forward, drawing it in, and forward, and back in, draw it in, keep drawing the heel in, and then bring the foot down for a moment, sit up tall, and then we'll swing the left leg back, coming back to our downward facing dog. So just making your way there. And let's come into a big wide-legged forward bend. So coming sideways on the mat. And so just bending into one knee and the other. You could let your elbows and your shoulders move, swaying back and forth. And then just coming back to center. Take a pause. So long spine, you're hinging forward at the hips. And then we'll walk our hands over towards the right lower leg, drawing the left hip back, tipping the tail up, letting your head relax. And then walking back through center and walking your hands over towards the opposite foot. And then walking hands back to center. And bring your hands to your hips. Come all the way up. And let's turn the toes of the right foot towards the front of the mat. We're going to come into a triangle pose. So your legs are straight. Your front foot is lining up with the back foot somewhere, like with the ball of the foot or with the arch of the foot. There's no perfect alignment, but somewhere in that range. So the hips are opening. Both feet are pressing firmly into the floor, reaching out through your fingertips, lengthening out through the crown of the head. Let your hips both draw back as you reach forward. And then the right hand might come down to the leg. So long through both sides of your torso. This is triangle pose. The gaze could be up, you could look straight ahead. Just keep the neck long. So there's a sense that your left hip is opening and wrapping back. feeling the strength of your legs. So both feet are really firmly planted on the floor. And one more breath there. And then we'll release, come all the way up, use your core, keep it helping you. Bend into your right knee. And you could kind of look to see that that knee is tracking over the center of the toes. And you might lengthen your stance a little bit, wrapping your hips open again, so this left hip is wrapping back. So come into Warrior Two to begin with. So your gaze is out over the fingertips of your right hand. Coming a little deeper into the bend of your front knee. And then we'll come into extended side angle, so the right elbow perhaps to the right knee, the left arm comes up and over. Neck stays long, you could look up and under your arm. You might come down deeper if you want, but you could stay on the elbow. Breathing. Nice steady breath. And then we'll come back up to center. Use your strong legs and your core. Turning your feet forward, coming into your forward bend. And just bending into one knee and the other. Just letting it be easy for a breath or two. And then coming back up. And we'll turn the toes of the left foot towards the end of the mat. Again, kind of lining up the heel of your front foot, maybe with the ball of your back foot. Opening your hips, reaching through your fingers, or through your arms, fingertips. And then let the hips draw back towards the back heel. Lengthening through both sides of your torso. The left hand comes down to the leg, opening your chest. So keeping both sides of the torso long. Wrapping this right hip open. Maybe turning to look up. Or you can look straight ahead, but keep your neck long. Just another breath. And then again, use your strong legs and your core to come back up. Gaze is out over the fingertips of your left hand. And we're bending into the left knee. This is Warrior Two. So if looking at your knee, it's tracking over the center of the toes. This hip is opening and wrapping back. Steady gaze, warrior gaze. And then bringing your left elbow to your left knee. Bringing the right arm up and over. So this is extended side angle pose. You bring your hand down further or just keep it on the knee. Breathing. Turning the palm towards the back of the room behind you. So the shoulder can slide. And then setting your feet and lifting up. Use your core, turning and coming into this forward bend again, bending into one knee and the other, just keeping it easy. You could turn your toes in and kind of get a little stretch into the outer lower leg. Just being a little gentle. And then maybe turn your toes out and going side to side. And you can try that. Bend into your right knee and bring your left hand over and take a twist with the knee bent. We usually do it with straight legs, but try it with a bent knee. And then coming over to the other side, bending into the left knee, the right hand comes over. And release. And then you could go side to side. You might lift your hands off the floor, make it a little more challenging for the core, or you can keep them down. Side to side, and back to center. And then maybe clasping your hands and bringing the arms up and over, keeping your shoulders lifted. You could go a little side to side there. And release. And then heel toe your feet in. So bring them a little bit wider than hip width with your toes turned out, sitting your seat back. So you're in a low squat, reaching your arms forward and your sit bones back. Lifting belly so your spine is staying neutral here. Lifting your head and shoulders and your tail. And then coming into a forward bend and just easing it out. Going a little bit side to side. And then walk your feet closer together. And bend your knees and come up. And let's actually try, so really engage in your belly. Try rounding your spine, bending your knees, and rolling down. So engaging in your belly, keeping the knees bent, and coming down, and then come into the long spine. And then bend your knees again and intentionally round and come up. Draw the belly in. Let your head come up last. And just pause for a moment. You could let the arms hang for a moment. Just do a little passive arm swinging. Coming back to stand again in your standing mountain pose. And let's do a few one-legged balances. So if you know that you're struggling a bit with balance, you can always come near the wall and have something to steady yourself with. So let's stand on the left foot and just begin by lifting your right knee up. So feeling the engagement here in your belly. And taking a couple breaths. And you could try extending your right leg and bending the knee. Just go really slow. And release. And then circling in one direction and the other. And then we'll try the other side. So we'll stand on the right leg, lift the left knee. Feeling engaged in your belly. And straightening and bending the knee. So finding perhaps something to gaze at in front of you as you do this, keeping the awareness of your long neutral spine here and the engagement here that helps you to do that work. And again, circling hips, knees, toes, ankles in one direction and the other. Let's get a strap. So you probably have a strap at home of some sort, whether it's a yoga strap or maybe a belt or a belt for your bathrobe. So take the strap around your right foot and bring that leg forward and use the strap to help you stand up tall. If you have the ability to reach your foot and stand on one leg like that, using your hand, you can do that as well. So again, you're feeling for your standing foot on the floor, kind of noticing how your weight is distributed over that and the strength of your standing leg. Keep drawing down through the right side of your torso and release it and let it go. And then we'll do the other side. So maybe with the strap around the ball of the foot, which just allows you to lengthen your arms, basically. So balancing over your right foot, keeping your shoulders from rounding forward, keeping the belly drawn in and the left hip drawing down. Of course, you can do that with your hand, if that's part of your practice. Breathing as you're reaching through. And then releasing. And just setting the strap down and circling in one direction and the other. And then we'll start with standing on your left foot. And we'll lift your right foot up and reach for your foot or ankle with your right hand. So rather than leaning forward, See if you can, again, ground through your sacrum and lift up through your pubic bone, lift up through your heart, and then maybe your knee is moving down or back, but not rounding forward at all, or even coming forward, staying upright. You could reach with both hands, drawing your heel towards your buttock, or just one hand. And then release that side, let it go, circle your toes, ankles, knees, and hips. And then we'll stand on the other foot. We'll stand on the right foot. Lifting your left foot, reaching back with your left hand, finding your ankle. You could use both hands. So again, grounding and lengthening up rather than coming forward. And then maybe you can push the knee back a bit just for more stretch as you draw your heel towards your buttock. Nice steady breath, finding your gaze. Really strong in your standing leg. And release. And just circling. And then we're going to use the strap for the shoulders, and then we'll put those two things together. So take your strap into your hands, making the strap a little wider than the elbows, and bringing it up and over. So moving through the movements of your shoulder blades. So they come up and down. And they also come forward and back. So they protract and retract. We know what retracting is. You're drawing them together, you're retracting them, and protracting, they're coming around and forward. And then holding them back. So retracting your shoulder blades, opening the chest, and breathing. You can turn a little bit side to side, keep the head lifted. It's not coming forward. And release. I'm just taking a breath. And then let's bring your right arm up. And you can take your left hand and kind of help to draw the right arm in. And there's some women outside on the street in very fancy dresses, so I'm just a little bit caught up in looking at them. It's fascinating. Anyway, bring your hand up and back, and your left hand back to reach for the strap, standing into your right foot. So your shoulder blade is sliding. Maybe you can lift the left foot. So the right arm is kind of wrapping in and alongside the head. Shoulder blades are sliding. Your pelvis is staying square. You're breathing. And release that. And just let it go. And then we'll bring left arm, take the strap in your hand, and bring it up, taking your left hand and kind of wrapping the right upper arm, keeping it alongside the head. Then we'll reach back with the right hand for the strap, and we'll stand into the left foot, wrapping your left shoulder back, your right shoulder back as you grab the strap, and shoulder blades are sliding. Find your breath. And release that. And again, just circling your knees, ankles, toes, and hips. And then let's put those two things together. So this motion of the arm with lifting of the leg. So we'll bring the strap around the top of the left foot, and we're coming into dancer's pose. So bringing your arm up alongside your head. Maybe you can reach with the right hand, and you're still lifting up and grounding through your sacrum here. So you're not coming forward yet. Maybe the foot is lifting. And then maybe you could come forward. And then release. And just circle it out. So we're trying to keep from over extending our lower back, from overarching our lower back. And we do that by grounding and lengthening down through the tailbone and lifting up through the pubic bone, so we're making more length in the lower back. As we come into a back bend, to keep some space there. So bringing strap around the sole of your right foot and bringing your right arm up, maybe reaching for the strap with both hands. And again, feeling for lengthening down through the tailbone and lifting up through pubic bone, maybe lifting the foot a little higher. Lifting up through your heart, and then maybe coming forward, hinging forward at the hip. Ooh, that's hard. And release. And just circle. Just easing out your lower back. You might have a countertop where you can come into a forward bend with your hands like on the back of your couch, or maybe you're lucky enough to have a bar in your home, but most of us don't. So finding a place where you can come into a forward bend and just lean onto that surface. You can also use a wall. You can just bring your hands up against the wall. Bending your knees a little bit. You could move your hips a little bit. Keep your head lifted. And then maybe you can step your left foot back behind the right foot. So you're drawing your left hip away from rib cage, lengthening the lower back and the side body, and then stepping back through center, and the right foot comes back and the right hip draws away from the rib cage, lengthening your waistline, and just rest your hands on that surface. And then back to center. And then with your hands there, walk your feet back so you're in a 90-degree angle, and let your right foot float up and back. So you're now in a warrior 3 position with your hands resting on top of whatever surface you've chosen. Maybe it's a table or countertop. And then let that leg come down and lift your left leg. So just resting the hands. You could also have your hands up against the wall, or press your hands into the wall. So feel how the left hip wants to come forward, draw it back, lengthening back, lifting your belly, and then release that. And then walking forward and just coming into a squat. So it's nice to have this bar, but you could also just rest your hands up on top of the couch or some other surface, maybe going a little bit side to side, feeling into your ankles and lower legs. And then coming all the way up and resting your hands on that surface and kind of using it to press and lengthen up, lifting your heart. You could also bring your hands back to your sacrum, press your hips forward, and lift the heart. And release. And then let's come back out, and hopefully you have a ball at home. One of these mini basketballs. And I'm just gonna move the camera down a little bit. Let's see. Sorry for the commotion. And, okay. So I'm gonna come onto my back. And I'm gonna bring the ball underneath my sacrum. And I'm just gonna start here by resting for a moment with my lower back on top of the ball. And then press your tailbone into the ball and lift it. So nodding it up and down a couple times. Feeling how you can move your pelvis. And then lift your knees. You could draw your knees into your chest, round your back, breathe into your back. And then let's lift the legs up, bring your arms out to the sides. Toes are turned out, and we'll inhale as we bring our right heel towards the floor. Press your tailbone into the ball and exhale, bring the foot back up. Inhale your left heel towards the floor. Press your tailbone into the ball and inhale the foot back up. So you can stay with one leg at a time. If you don't have a ball at home, you can just do this without the ball. It's a little bit harder. And the ball kind of helps you to find that sensation of pressing your tailbone down as you bring the leg back up. So if you haven't already, you could switch to both legs. Again, toes are slightly turned out. Inhaling the heels down, lengthening through your belly, and then press tailbone into the ball and exhale, back up. Just going slowly. So you're moving without much momentum. You're moving very consciously. And the next time you bring your heels towards the floor, hover for a moment, lengthening your belly, breathing. And then release your feet, bring them down, and just drape over the ball. So feeling this kind of opening at the front of the hips. Finding your nice steady breath here. And then walking the feet back in. And let's take the ball out. We'll use the ball still, but bring it out for a moment and set it off to the side. Bring your arms out to the sides and lift the feet up, keeping the knees pointing straight up. Let them go side to side slowly. So controlling that movement with your core muscles, the belly muscles and the lower back muscles. Maybe when you come over to the left the next time, you might extend your top leg and just pause, take a couple breaths, extending through the right leg. And then draw the knees back to center and come to the right and maybe extend through the left leg. Keeping the shoulders on the floor, coming back to center, draw your knees in. Breathe into your low back, rocking a little bit side to side. And then bringing the legs straight up. If you feel like your hamstrings are really tight, you can keep the knees bent a little bit, but keep them coming straight up and going side to side, keeping the sacrum on the floor, so you're not lifting your lower back up. You're just going really slowly. Again, not moving with momentum, but moving with the control of your muscles. So your one foot kind of slides down the inner ankle as you go side to side. Might be starting to get tired. And then just draw the knees in. You could lift your head and just round your spine. And then release your head back. And let's take the ball again, and let's do a little bit of rolling before we come to a conclusion tonight. Actually, before we do that, let's do one bridge pose. So walk your feet back towards your hips and lift your hips up. And you could tuck one shoulder at a time underneath and come up into bridge, keeping some curve under your neck so you're not flattening out the back of your neck. Just untucking your chin, pushing up a little higher, breathing, and then release your shoulders and just roll down really slowly. You might actually roll up into plow pose if this is comfortable for your body. Again, keeping that neck from flattening out. You can also bend your knees here. You could walk the feet over a little bit to the side and then to the other side. And back to center. And then just slowly rolling down. And take the ball. And let's bring the ball under the upper back. And bring your hands back to support your head. And just rolling into your spine. Maybe lifting your hips, coming into a bridge pose over the ball with the ball on the shoulders. And then as you support your head, just rolling on the ball, using it to get into some of your spots. I like it underneath into the lats and underneath the arm and in around the shoulder blade. You could just kind of support your head, but kind of find your spots, making sure you get both sides. You might notice one side is more tight or has more knots than the other side. And then taking the ball lower, bringing the ball under your lower back and roll there. Maybe lifting your feet and then maybe down into the hip rotators. Staying on one side first, feeling those tight spots. And then to the other side. And then taking the ball out from there, bring it under the back of your head and turning your head from side to side, pressing the back of your head into the ball, keeping your shoulders relaxed. Try not to lift the shoulders. Maybe finding some of those tight spots in the back of your neck. And then just setting that ball off to the side. And let's draw the right knee in towards the chest. And take an easy twist. Bringing your right knee over towards the left. Just taking your own variation of the twist. The reclined twist. And then back up towards center. And extend your right leg, draw your left knee in. And maybe you're looking back over your left shoulder. And one more breath there, and then just coming back onto your back. And you might bring the soles of your feet together, maybe bringing your hands up and maybe underneath your head. You could give yourself a little rub into the back of the head and neck, feeling those muscles, finding any spots. And then bringing your arms down by your sides and stretching your legs out. Just resting back onto your back. You could close your eyes, coming into your final resting pose. So laying on your back, breathing. Just allowing your body to surrender, to be heavy. Feeling the back of your body against the floor. shoulder blades. The chest is open and soft. You can feel your breath coming in and out through your nose. So feel heavy in your head, and your eyelids are soft. Your forehead is relaxed. The jaw relaxed. Breath is nice and comfortable. You're not efforting. It's just coming in and out. Might be very soft. Coming into this more parasympathetic nervous system response. So calm, and we call it rest and digest, where you're getting out of any fight or flight or freeze, and you're coming into this, some call it tend and befriend, or rest and digest. But it's just a calm state of the nervous system where you're alert and you're awake, but you're very relaxed. You're just practicing that. You're finding your breath, just feeling the effects of your practice this evening. There's no strain or effort in your body. Everything is soft. Just taking one last moment to kind of scan through your body and notice if there's anywhere where you're holding on to anything that you could still let go of. So any like extra tension or holding in the body is just releasing and softening. And then from there, maybe you could roll onto your right side and come back to your seat. And find your way to your seat. So I'm sitting on a yoga block. You could sit on a cushion. You could sit with your legs crossed. You could sit in a chair. You could sit with your legs folded underneath you. But however you're sitting, being able to find this long spine and your free and deep breathing. So taking a few breaths. And just for a moment, just bring your arms up and give yourself a little hug. And then you could kind of just do this with your hands, just stroking your arms like this. This is something you can do when you're really feeling stressed to bring yourself into a calmer state. It's called, has an actual name, I forget the name of it, but just, you give yourself a little hug and then you stroke your arms down like this. So just letting that go, just taking care of yourself, mothering yourself, even as you're mothering others. Bringing your hands together at your heart, you could pause and bow your head to your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. Have a lovely evening.